You wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and your hair is a disaster. So you grab a pair of scissors and fix it. Takes about 10 minutes. You don't think about it twice. But here's the question nobody ever stops to ask. Who was the first human being to look at their own hair and decide to do something about it? Not because a barber existed, not because there was a style to follow, but because something in their brain said, this needs to change. That moment, that first deliberate cut is one of the most human things that has ever happened. And it is almost certainly far older than you think. Let's start with the obvious problem. Hair doesn't fossilize. You cannot dig up a 50,000-year-old haircut. You cannot carbon date a trim. The physical evidence for ancient hair grooming is almost non-existent, which means we have to think like detectives. We look at tools, we look at art, we look at biology, we look at behavior, and when you put all of that together, the picture that emerges is genuinely surprising. Start with the tools. The oldest stone tools ever found date back roughly 3.3 million years. Sharp flakes of stone, edges fine enough to cut through meat, through hide, through plant fiber. Now ask yourself something. If you have a sharp stone edge and you have hair hanging in your face while you are trying to hunt, skin an animal, or start a fire, what do? You solve the problem. Early humans were not sentimental about inconvenience. They were practical in a way that modern humans rarely have to be. Long hair around a fire is dangerous. Long hair while running through brush is a liability. Long hair in a fight is something your enemy can grab. The razor and the knife are the same tool. The decision to use one on your own body is not a leap. It is the next logical step. Here is where biology enters the conversation in a way that most people have never considered. Humans are the only primate on Earth with continuously growing scalp hair. Every other primate, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, their head hair grows to a fixed length and stops. Ours does not. It just keeps going. Scientists believe this trait evolved somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million years ago, roughly when Homo erectus appeared and our ancestors began losing the thick body hair that earlier hominids carried. The scalp hair may have grown longer to compensate, providing insulation and sun protection for a brain that was rapidly getting larger and more heat sensitive. So for almost 2 million years, human scalp hair has been growing without a biological off switch, which means for almost 2 million years, humans have had to figure out what to do with it. The oldest direct evidence of deliberate hair grooming comes from archaeological sites containing small bone pins, ivory combs, and fine-toothed implements dating back 30,000 years or more across Europe and Asia. These weren't tools for cutting food. Their teeth were too fine, their structure too delicate. They were made specifically to manage hair. Someone 30,000 years ago sat down and manufactured a comb. That means hair management by that point wasn't accidental or occasional. It was a regular enough practice that people made dedicated tools for it. Then there is the art. The Venus figurines, small carved female forms found across Europe dating back 25,000 to 35,000 years, show something remarkable. Many of them have clearly defined the deliberately styled hairstyles carved into the stone or ivory. Not just hair as a mass or texture, actual structured hairstyles, braids, coils, specific arrangements that somebody consciously chose. If ancient humans were carving hairstyles into their ritual figurines 30,000 years ago, it means hairstyling was already culturally significant enough to be worth representing. You don't carve something into stone unless it matters. But here is the angle that almost nobody talks about. Lice. Head lice have been with humans for a very long time, and their evolutionary history is deeply tied to ours. Analysis of ancient lice DNA suggests they have been living on human scalps for at least 100,000 years and possibly much longer. Lice are one of the oldest and most persistent reasons a human being would want to manage, cut, or shave their hair. This wasn't vanity, this was survival. Parasites carried disease. A human who found a way to reduce their lice load through cutting, shaving, or treating their hair had a genuine biological advantage. Hygiene and grooming are not modern inventions. They are ancient adaptive behaviors dressed in different clothing across different eras. And then there is the social dimension, which may be the most powerful driver of all. Humans are status-obsessed animals. We always have been. In every documented human culture on Earth, without exception, hair carries meaning. It signals identity, rank, mourning, readiness for war, religious devotion, social belonging. The specific signals change completely across cultures, but the underlying fact that hair communicates something that never changes. This universality is not a coincidence. It tells us that using hair as a social signal is not a cultural invention. It is a deeply human instinct that every civilization independently arrived at because it was already there, wired into how we read each other, which means the first human who deliberately cut their hair probably wasn't doing it just to see better or stay cooler. They were doing it to say something about who they were, about what group they belonged to, about what they had survived or what they were about to do. 10 minutes in the mirror with a pair of scissors. That's all it is for you. But behind that habit is a chain of human behavior stretching back further than agriculture, further than language, possibly further than Homo sapiens itself. The oldest human instinct isn't survival. It isn't hunger. It isn't even love. It might just be the need to look like yourself.